navigate through the trials and tribulations that democracy will automatically bring. But in this particular case, what the Supreme Court simply did is interpret a section of the Constitution that people found, some found for, some found against. And the section of the Constitution grants the president the power to temporarily install or to temporarily promote some parts of the democratic process to restore sanity, to restore the sanctity of life, and to make sure that life and property are protected. And so the Supreme Court came out clearly and said, look, it is within the purview of the president to be able to do this under certain circumstances, but with a caveat that it must be with a specific time limit, it must be with the permission of the National Assembly, and it must be done to safeguard all the democratic institutions. So I think all of these things are met. I'm happy with the decision. I'm happy with the position that the Supreme Court took. There will be some people who will talk against it, of course, but that is also the democratic practice. You say something, somebody else counters, but we must keep on talking to enrich the culture of democracy.
Amen, Momodu. Well, if you look at it critically, while we're off camera, one of the guests did say that under the political dispensation of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the judiciary seems to be so easy. And of course, we've seen judgments where seems to be in favor of the present government. And even to the point where he said that under this leadership, a man can be turned into a woman and otherwise. But if we peruse what transpired in Rivers State, would you say there was so much political instability that could demand the suspension, and I reiterate, the suspension of elected officials?
Thank you for that question, Pope. And I hope whoever made those comments is not either a lawyer or connected with the legal profession. But let us get to the point of the matter. What were the issues that needed to be addressed with a declaration of state of emergency? Number one, the 1999 Constitution is amended, predates Bola Tinubu's administration. So Section 305, which he relied on to declare a state of emergency, was not put in the Constitution by him. That's point one. Point two, what had happened in Rivers State to warrant the declaration of a state of emergency? Let us cast our minds back to that there was a back and forth between the state governor, the legislative House of Assembly, and the state judiciary at the time. It got so bad that the House of Assembly was set on fire, it was bombed and razed to the ground. The lives and property of the members of the State House of Assembly were threatened. They could not even sit to conduct their constitutional functions. Let's not forget that these are co-equal arms of government. The executive and the legislature are supposed to work in harmony for the betterment of the people, to enlighten the democratic space, and to bring the dividends of democracy to the people. It had come to the point where there was an impasse. This executive refused to listen to what the State House of Assembly was saying. The State House of Assembly was threatening to impeach the governor. The governor had raised the State House of Assembly to the ground, and he was even encroaching on their residential premises. I mean, some of these actions were condemnable by any standard. We got to the point where the state governor was even saying he was the one who granted the members of the House of Assembly whatever leniency he granted because of the power he owed. I mean, that's unconscionable. It had come to the point where something had to be done, and I'm glad that the president did the needful, and then peace was restored, order was restored, and normalcy was restored. Those were the principal points, and now we can move on clearly.
Well, let's get to what the lawyer has got to say. The legal luminary we have, Emmanuel Obakolo. Well, I made three jab at you.
Yes, indeed.
And I want you to react to that, while also you give us the legal grounds, key legal grounds that the court relied on in making his decision.
Now, thank you for the opportunity. Let's go back to history. Once upon a time in this country, under the leadership of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, where he declared a state of emergency in Plateau State and did removed or suspended, as the case may be, interimly, the governor of that state, the person of Joshua Darie.
Yeah.
This same president then was a governor. He was everywhere shouting that the president had no power to remove or to suspend a governor of a state, because he saw the finger pointing towards his direction then, because he was in direct opposite position with the president then. That was one. Two, under President Goodluck Jonathan, when he declared, if my memory judges me correctly, the Plateau and KB or Yobe states, a state of emergency. This same president moved around Nigeria, gathered people together to ensure that the governor was not removed. And in the person of Goodluck
then
Jonathan,
he wasn't the president.
Then he wasn't. In the person of Goodluck Jonathan, he didn't remove the governor, yet he declared the state of emergency, meaning that he saw that the objects that was causing the rancor, the crisis in that state, should be dealt with, and not the person of the office of the governor. That is that. Now, coming to legal perspective, Section 90 of the extant constitution provides for the legislature of the states, the legislative arm of government of a state in Nigeria. Section 176 of the extant constitution provides for the office of the governor of a state, that the office of the governor shall be a person elected into that office. Section 176. Now, Section 305 gives the president power to declare a state of emergency. That is on the one side.
All right.
Now, before the Supreme Court, the facts before the Supreme Court was that the governor of Rivers State was removed on the 18th day of March 2025. Suspended, rather, on the 18th day of March 2025, and to resume on the 18th day of September 2025. Now, 11 states under the control of the People's Democratic Party filed this action that the court should declare the declaration by the suspension, the declaration and the suspension of the governor by null and void.
Yeah.
Now, the Attorney General of the Federation filed a preliminary objection, and the court, in its wisdom, 6-1, said that one, the court lacks jurisdiction. Please, I want us to get the facts right. The court lacks jurisdiction. Why? That there was no cause of action.
When you say last jurisdiction, you mean to sit on this matter?
To sit on the matter. The court lacks jurisdiction to sit on the matter, on the ground that there was no cause of action against the president. That's what the court said.
Okay.
Now, when you say there is no cause of action, meaning you don't have rights, you didn't show anything that shows that the president has violated the provisions of the constitution.
Looking at the provisions.
Looking at the facts before the court.
Okay.
In the wisdom of the court, that's what the court said. And as such, the court said the suit before it lacks merit and struck out the matter. However, the court went ahead to rule
the powers of the president,
that the president has power to declare a state of emergency
and suspend elected officials,
and suspend elected official for the period specified in the constitution, which is 6 months. On the other hand, I go with this, the dissenting judgment or ruling, as the case may be, said that the suit is competent in parts. Is competent in parts. That the president, yes, can remove, by virtue of the provision of Section 305, can remove declare a state of emergency, but cannot remove an elected official like the governor of a state.
Only can suspend.
And the State House of Assembly. I agree absolutely with that. Now, when you marry all of these issues before the courts and the court arrive at this judgment, I do hope now the sympathizers and supporters of the All Progressive Congress are celebrating this judgment. But I do hope, I repeat, that someday they will not come to, when it gets to their turn, they will not come and say, oh no, it ought not to be like that. Because this is a country where people celebrate wrong.
Okay, but what
people
you
look
said,
look at issues.
Yeah.
Not with the not from the best eye view. Rather, we give and take, we select the one that favors us. Oh, good and fine. The one that doesn't favor us, no, we don't want it. That is why I made that comment, that very soon in this country, the president will have power to change a man to a woman and no one will ask.
Okay.
Because already, if the courts in Nigeria is going the direction that it is going, then very soon the president will become an emperor. But already we are seeing the attribute of an emperor, we are seeing the attribute of a tyrant, but now they are celebrating. Like Momodu say that he knows that person who made that comment is not a lawyer. You don't just talk vulgarly because you think you have the opportunity to make comment. You are entitled to your opinion. I'm entitled to my opinion. That is why when two opinions or more opinions, the superior one takes place. According to the Supreme Court, the judgment stands and it becomes a law.
Yeah.
Whether anybody likes it or not.
Yeah.
But that does not remove the fact that other persons are not entitled to their opinion.
Exactly.
Opinions are the case to be.
Exactly.
To my mind, I repeat, I go with the dissenting judgment.
Yes.
I do not go with the majority judgment.
Yeah, and when you were talking about going with the dissenting judgment, you were talking about the fact that, yes, that the court did say the president cannot remove.
Yes.
Yeah, but
Or
in
suspend.
this case, they weren't talking about removal, but suspension.
I said,
Which means the
remove
president
or
has
suspend.
powers to suspend.
They say the president may have powers to suspend the governor of a state. But also, I just quoted sections 90 and section 176. Do you now, is the Supreme Court telling me that you now read a particular section in isolation without reference to others?
Well, but the decision here taken serves as a precedent.
It's a law, not just a precedent. It's a law now,
Okay.
as it stands.
All right, let's get your thoughts on this political scientist level, because we want to see how our polity will evolve into becoming a better one. Don't forget the fact that we see democracy as the best form of government, and this is happening under a democratic rule. Do you agree with what has happened so far as an opportunity to deepen the democratic practice in Nigeria?
Thank you for the opportunity you have given me to bear my mind on this matter. I will start this way.
Okay.
In Nigeria, we have three organs of government. We have the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary, not in any ascending order. Now, the constitution that we are talking about was a law that was made, a code by the legislature or lawmakers. Number two, the president represents the executive and the judiciary represent the other arm of government. Now, the three of them have performed their function. Those who promulgated the constitution as amended, they have played their role of lawmaking. The president has played his role as executive for try to implement the law, and then the judiciary has also performed their duty by interpreting the law, which is the constitution, or the powers of the president as exercised. Now, first and foremost, the question that we need to ask is, what other work condition can a president declare a state of emergency in a state? Now, the constitution in section 305 subsection 3 specified, number one, threat to public peace and safety.
Okay.
In case of threat of invasion, in case of natural disaster, and any other situation.
And we noticed that in Rivers State.
Yeah, so in Rivers State,
Was that noticed?
yes, I aligned myself with the reasoning of
Ahmed
Momodu, where he atomized, and the atomization of the facts of what led to the proclamation of the president, they are in public space. So it's not a matter of somebody trying to play politics of either PDP or APC, as my brother Coach Scott is trying to allude here.
Okay.
And I also align myself with the reason of Ahmed Momodu, because it was not Tinubu who promulgated the Constitution, 1999 Constitution 2 law. So any power that he has decided, he met it in the Constitution. Now let's go to the issue of the judgment as it relates to democratic governance. Now the president has performed his function. In law, there's what we call fortuus official. When you have performed your function as an official or as a court, you cannot revisit the decision. It's a superior court or higher authority that have power to look at what you have, the decision you have taken, that can do so. The president has performed his function. He does not need to go back there to go and perform the function. It is the judiciary that cannot interpret his action. And that's exactly what the judiciary have done. Now, in that judgment, the justices of the Supreme Court said the matter of removing the governors or the elected official is a matter of discretion. And that discretion, the president has exercised because the dramatic personality of the crisis in Rivers State were political actors, elected political actors, starting from the governor, the House of Assembly members. If you declare a state of emergency and they are still occupying their position, what is the effect of that state of emergency?
Okay.
It's of non-effect, because their wranglings, their political wranglings, and the instability and the threat to public peace will still be there if they are still occupying their position.
So by this you are, yeah.
The president acted well.
Okay, so by this you are saying that an imposition of emergency rule in a democracy unavoidably will suspend the activities of the elected officials.
It's not in every case. Like in the case of Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, that he made reference to. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan declared state of emergency in about 40 local government areas across 3 states.
Okay. Without affecting the elected officials.
He did not remove the elected officials.
It was discretionary too.
Well, yeah, it was discretionary. It was discretionary. But that discretion was also in good faith because the crisis of insecurity in those places were not tied to the elected officials. They were not in a battle that threatened the peace of the area. It was insecurity. And that was why I did not remove them. Assuming the political actors in those areas were
directly involved.
They were directly involved, like what happened in Rivers, or what happened in Plateau State in the era of the removal of Dariye that he made mention of, or what happened during the Obasanjo period, or what happened in Ekiti State that led to the removal of Ayo Fayose, and then they brought General Tuju Oluri.
Okay.
Then we cannot say that the president did not act in good faith. Okay. But by what we have observed and the fact that are in public domain, in the case of Rivers State, the president acted in good faith, just like Obasanjo acted in good faith in those 2 states that we have mentioned.
I will still come back to you after this break because we are looking at going forward because there could be this window that could open a selfish motive for presidents going forward, you know, to really make upon in order to get selfish gains from states just to destabilize it. But we'll be giving you that after this short break. Do stay.
Some days, there comes the Ugemobo Festival, which the Oba celebrates outside the palace gate. A pavilion is built of red cloth where rites are performed to drive away all evil spirits still unsatisfied by the year's sacrifices. The Mobo Festival is to commemorate an event in Benin history.
Of course, we're about the court verdict of the Supreme Court that emerged yesterday and put rest to the issue about the imposition of emergency rule on Rivers State by the president. And of course, does the president have the powers to suspend elected officials? And discussing this with me, I have Ahmed Mamadou, and of course, a legal practitioner with us, Emmanuel Bakwalo, and a political scientist, Neville Obakedo. While we had a break, we basically were talking about how to, salvage our country, most especially we are going forward. The office of the president, going forward, could use this, take undue advantage of this to gain political power in some states by taking any opportunity of instability, to impose emergency rule on such states. How do we protect our democracy from being wrecked going forward?
When we talk about a president using the power of a state of emergency as enshrined in the Constitution, I do not envisage that, because the Constitution is very clear that before a nod can be given to a state of emergency and it takes effect, it's not just the president proclaiming it. The National Assembly, that is the legislative arm of government, has a role to play in it, in giving it a nod. That is by approving it.
What if the National Assembly is an apron string to the executive?
If you say apron string, what do you mean? Because in governance, there's what we call complementarity. That is to say, a situation where those that occupy governmental position believe that it is better to judge than to war. And then in that case, they work together, and people see it as being sympathetic. Maybe the legislature that is made up of different political parties will not be sympathetic with the cause of the party that have majority in that house. In this case, APC. It's not always the case. What are the facts? You have to look at the facts before you say the National Assembly is a rubber stamp or it's no rubber stamp. And in any case, if the National Assembly is a rubber stamp, we have judiciary there. You can challenge any decision that the National Assembly approves for the president if you believe that it's not in the interest of good governance. Going back to the question that you asked me, in the First Republic, something happened in Western Nigeria, which the Yorubas, or is documented as Operation Wet here. That's Operation Wet It, where political actors, the camp of Awolowo and the camp of S.L. Akitola, they were killing and destroying themselves, maiming, destroying property in Western Nigeria. And the government of the First Republic, democratically elected government of Tafawa Balewa Tokunadi Azikiwe, they declared a state of emergency in Western Nigeria. It was not, even though the Western Nigeria government was action group stroke NNDP led government, the federal government did not declare state of emergency because of the political difference. It declared state of emergency because of the kamikaze, the kind of extreme brutality that politicians were perpetrating on themselves and their supporters.
Okay.
Now, we take a cue from there. What happened in Rivers State is almost similar to what happened in Western Nigeria. And so the president declared state of emergency.
Okay.
Now, I don't envisage a situation where tomorrow a president can just wake up and say, because, for example, Edo State is a PC state and the government is PDP, we are going to declare a state of emergency there. No. State of emergency is president on certain events and development. And there's no same president. A president that knows his onion, that will just wake up one day and say, because that area is a stronghold of opposition, let me go and declare state of emergency.
All right. Let's get to you, Ahmed, because all of this seems to be very, very interesting and intriguing, most especially where political defections these days, a majority, about 99%, defect from one party to the APC. And of course, even the governors who took the case to court of the 11 PDP states, if you count now, they are no longer 11. Most of them have defected to the APC. Now, what does this tell us? Because the political colorations seem to suggest that he who has the power as the president seems to have the powers too much to a point where, defections are taking place in favor of the president party. And of course, again, some are afraid that what does this portend for our country's future democratically? Are you thinking in this direction, Ahmed?
Thank you, Philip. Let me quickly apologize to Mr. Neville. I meant no offense by my comment. I was simply playing. So I apologize if I offended you in any way. To the question you asked, Philip. So what does this...
I think you mean Emmanuel Obakwalo. I think you meant Emmanuel Obakwalo. He was the one that made that statement. Not Neville.
Emmanuel Obakwalo, yes. So to the question at hand, let me quickly start with the positives that have come out of this. What has happened. First of all, like I've been on a learning curve with my co-participants, and I've learned a few things, and they've brought out a few issues. Let us clearly point out that the administration of Obasanjo, Goodluck Jonathan, and all the others who implemented emergency powers were never tested. This is the first time it's been tested. And so it goes back to what we were saying before, that this allows our constitutional democracy to be tested, to be tried, and the limits to be defined clearly so that all the actors and participants come in. I'm happy that one of the other panelists pointed out very clearly that there is a check and balance that is to be expected to be played by the House, by the legislature and the judiciary, where we have a president who comes out in excess. Among the positives that we have now is that the NAS has also been strengthened. The role of the NAS has been strengthened by this Supreme Court, clearly saying that the approval of the National Assembly must be sought for this thing to be effective. Another positive is that wayward political actors, if you recall, we had somebody like that in the person of Godwin Obaseki, who refused to inaugurate a House of Assembly for 4 years while he was there. The political actors will now be on notice that you cannot just come and play randomly whatever you like. There is a clear limitation and there is a delineation that the Constitution has placed on elected officers, and it tells you that you are able to do this and this is outside of your scope. Also, the president, we are assuming that a president acts in good faith. Like Mr. Neville pointed out, he said, if the president is not acting in good faith, we expect some checks and balances from the legislature and the judiciary. What this means is that going forward, we need to strengthen all these other arms of government so that they are alive to their own responsibilities and they will not always act as a rubber stamp. So when we even bring out the issue of rubber stamping and so on, I love the word he used. He said there's complementarity. But here's, for example, in the US, what is understood to be the understanding between the executive and the legislature is usually a situation where they are members of the same political party. And of course, they now have the majority in the legislature. So you don't expect members of the same political party to be fighting themselves. It doesn't make any sense because they are supposed to be putting forward the best foot for their own political party and following their party manifesto. In the event that we have governors or presidents that overreach, which is your own question, how does it help us? It helps us because now we understand the limits of these powers, and we know that if somebody is acting in a way that is completely irresponsible, there are checks and balances. The subnational government has the federal government as a check. The federal government has the legislature and the judiciary as a check. And as we go on, we will keep on defining and refining our constitutional democracy. And I think it's a good day for Nigeria, if you ask me.
Say that the statement credited to you where you said the former governor was a wayward politician. I think you should retract that because you shouldn't use this phrase to castigate any personality place.
He was not a wayward politician. He was somebody who was playing hard and fast with the rules. I think that's much better.
All right. Well, let's get your bite on it. I believe you had some issues or grounds with what he said.
Yes. Now, if you look at the provisions of that constitution, that section of the constitution, section 305, the declaration of a state of emergency as spelled out cannot be declared first before recourse to the National Assembly. The president, what we have seen in this case, what we have seen, the declaration of state of emergency in Rivers was made first. The suspension of the governor and the legislative arm of government was made first before recourse was made to the National Assembly. The deed has been done. The deed has been concluded and sealed. So what do you now want the National Assembly to do? To my mind, I thought the National Assembly would have refused that declaration. Hence, the president slighted them by not first consulting them before that declaration. So it is still a party affair. In the National Assembly, the All Progressive Congress is in the majority. That is the position. So that is why I think, and that is my position, that I go with the dissenting judgment, because there were so many factors that led to the declaration of state of emergency in Rivers, which is the subject matter just now, by virtue of the judgment or ruling of the Supreme Court.
All right.
Now, sir, if you look at the actors in Rivers State, we have the governor on one side, we have the legislative arm on one side, and the Minister of Federal Capital Territory. Was he also suspended? Was he also suspended? That is to tell you that the president had an interest. The president had a target. And today, Sim Fubara has defected to the All Progressive Congress. That was the game plan.
Okay, so, but there would have been need for the former governor to be suspended because he wasn't really an official in the state. But
he was a minister. He was a political actor.
Don't forget where this happened. It's on Rivers.
Where is he from?
Not the FCT.
Where is the former governor from? We know it's in public domain, just as they are shouting public domain, that the FCT minister was one who fueled the crisis in Rivers. He was.
Okay, again, let's also empirically test previous emergency rules. Like he said, that they were not tested, but that this is the first time it's been tested.
No, they went to court. I told you that the Supreme Court voided the declaration of state of emergency by former President Olusegun Obasanjo in Plateau. It did. They were tested.
Okay.
So what is the difference now? According to them, they are saying that the scenarios were different. That because of the political actors, for goodness sake, nobody was killed in Rivers. 2, the State House of Assembly was not raised down by the governor.
Okay.
It wasn't. So there was a political arithmetics, and they have succeeded in achieving that.
Okay. How do we salvage our democracy going forward? Most especially the governor in Rivers State has defected to the APC.
And unfortunately, he was also not a party in that suit. It was the other 11 governors under the PDP control that went to court. He wasn't a party. At the time he withdrew.
He withdrew.
And that was why,
for the benefit of the state, don't forget.
For the benefit of their political arithmetics, which has now played out. And that was why the Supreme Court found that suit to be incompetent, lacking jurisdiction, to my mind. Because how did they affect other persons who came without the person that was affected, that was injured? Are you getting me? Again, I think we need to be very, very careful with this democracy on our hands. We need to be very, very careful. If you take a perusal of what is going on in Africa, particularly in West Africa today, with respect to military juntas and military overthrow, you will see the need for us to cherish this democracy and not to play with it, because so much powers are given. I said it on this platform. The Constitution provides for 67 powers, 64 to the president, 1 to legislature, 1 to judiciary. The remainder 1 is shared between the executive and the legislature. Invariably, you will agree with me that the executive has 65 powers out of 67. So now we are gradually taking that of the legislature and that of the judiciary to also give to the executive. And I think that we are going to a situation that I would describe as Huga Muga.
Let's get you, political scientist Neville. Well, let's just look at this analogy, most especially when Aristotle, I beg your pardon, I think I'm correct. Aristotle qualified it that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Lord Atkins.
Okay. But let's analyze that content, you know, and the powers that were the president of Nigeria. Some have said that it's even bigger than that of the president of America. Now, do you see a possibility of having a polity, as in Nigeria as a country, where the governors can breathe, you know, without undue influence from the center, looking at the constitution that provides such enormous powers for the president? Or you think there should be a redraft of the constitution in that respect?
Before we talk about the constitution and the powers of the president, my co-discussant said certain things that I believe I should react to. Number one, a proclamation or a declaration of the president, whether in the area of emergency or try to constitute the National Assembly, is a document. It's a document. If you go to the office of the president or the presidency, you will see a file titled Proclamation of State of Emergency. The one of the 1960 something I made mention, 1964, of Western Nigeria, the condition that led to its declaration will be there, and the document that the prime minister to the president used to declare that state of emergency, you will see the document there. Now, the one of Olusegun Obasanjo in Plateau State and in Ekiti State, if you check that file, you will see the period, you will see the document, Proclamation of State of Emergency in Plateau State, a document that was transmitted to the National Assembly. Now, what my co-discussant and his servant in the Temple of Justice is trying to misinterpret is the broadcast to the people of Nigeria. The president broadcasted to the people of Nigeria that he has transmitted to the National Assembly. You can read the document, it's still online. Transmitted to the National Assembly a declaration of state of emergency in Rivers State. He now embellished the broadcast. That was not the declaration. He only made a statement to Nigeria that this was what I did. That is that one. Then he talked about the political actors. You know that in Rivers State we have a political godfather there, and that godfather is the minister for Federal Capital Territory now, Nyesom Wike. It is in the public domain, and the people of Rivers State, they are aware that that man is the political godfather of the state, and that he single-handedly brought Governor Siminalayi Fubara against all odds from other political actors in the state, and all the House of Assembly members and commissioners and the rest of them. Now, the battle was not directly the battle between House of Assembly members and the governor. It was a battle between Wike and Fubara.
Okay.
And the president, I salute the president, this president of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Bola Ahmed Tinubu saved Siminalayi Fubara from being impeached, because shortly before they commenced impeachment processes against the governor, the Supreme Court had declared that the period that this man stopped the House of Assembly from performing their functions, and he was now working with about 3 or 4 people, there was no governor in Rivers State.
So possibly
the president saved him.
So possibly that was why the governor had to defect to the APC.
Before then,
are you saying that?
I'm not talking about.
Okay.
It's not only that governor.
All right.
Governor of Plateau State has defected to APC.
And what could be the reason for them defecting? Is it for the people?
Defected.
What could be the reason? Yeah, what could be the reason? What could be the reason for all these defections? Are you seeing them as for the interest of the people or personal aggrandizement? You have just 30 seconds to round up on that.
So it was Wike versus Fubara, and the matter was in public domain. and the president intervened
Right.
and called all of them to Aso Rock. He said, let us resolve this matter.
Okay.
So that this matter will not consume River State and consume the administration
Okay.
of River State.
Okay.
After that, when Fubara, if he's watching now, when Fubara left there, he came back and was making stupid statements about the intervention of the president. That led to state of emergency.
All right, we'll take a short break. We'll take a short break.
Then the issue of suspending Wike, because Wike was not elected.
All right.
And the president appointed him.
All right.
And he's been there, he's still on the prerogative.
We'll look into
of the
that.
president.
We'll look into that after this short break, please.
You asked me a
Don't
question
you
about
go
the
away.
first, I want to answer you.
We'll look into that. Please do stay. Well, how to make Nigeria great, basically looking at the polity and the judgment of the Supreme Court on the emergency rule imposed on Rivers State by the President, Ahmed Bola Tinubu, is what we're about. And why we're quickly, I know you have an appetite to continue from where you left off, but can you please do that in 2 minutes?
In 2 minutes.
Yes, most especially when we look at the aspect of defections, across party lines, But some will say these defections majorly not for the common interest of the people, but rather to plunder on the common patrimony of the people for selfish gains. How can we organize or reorganize the polity to make the people really have this power to determine, who gets what and when and how?
When we talk about, I have repeatedly said here and elsewhere that Nigeria is not practicing democracy. That what we have here is civilian rule. Because when you have democracy, there will be the rule of law. The rule of law is the bedrock of democratic governance. In that case, there will be supremacy of the law. In that case, there will be impartiality of the law.
So you agree we don't have supremacy of the law in Nigeria? Is that what you're saying?
In some cases. And,
can you feel? Can you itemize?
And unless the cases are brought,
can you pinpoint what you've seen as not in tandem, with the supremacy of the law in Nigeria under the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration?
When I say
you want to avoid that,
wait, now,
do you want to avoid that?
Now, when I say that democracy has the rule of law as its bedrock, and I said supremacy of the law, impartiality of the law, and equality before the law.
And we don't have it.
And I'm saying that in relation to the Fourth Republic.
And you are saying that we don't have
it. The Fourth Republic started in 1999. So if we are going to talk about judicial inanities and manipulation,
okay,
we are going to start from that time.
What about executive rascality?
Whether executive rascality, whether judicial, whatever, whether legislative rascality or pardoning of budget and the rest of them, they are pointed to the fact that democratic governance has not taken root in Nigeria as expected.
Okay.
And the solution to it, number one, is conscientization of the people. Number two, what we call citizenship combativeness. The citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, they need to know what is going on in government, and they need to be aware of certain decisions of government and the impact on their life, so that they can set agenda for government at every election or at the beginning of every year.
Okay.
Now, the president will soon present budget, state governor will be presenting budget for next year. The people need to know what the government want to do, so that they know how to set agenda for government, and challenge government if they are not doing
in common terms and in simple terms. What you just said, Neville Opakedo, is that we are really not practicing democracy in toto in Nigeria.
Yes.
But what we have is civilian rule.
Yes.
Let's get your thoughts on that, Ahmed Mamadou. Do you agree with Neville Obakedo, most especially where we have political defections? Like I said earlier, you know, looking at the 11 states, PDP states that took this case up against the AGF, against the AGF, and of course that of the National Assembly on this emergency rule on Rivers State. As we speak, most of them have defected to the APC. While we have that of, you know, Osun State in a court party. Now, do you see this drive as a way of taking power away from the people? How can we situate the people in the equation where they can really determine who gets what, when, and how? Because there seems to be a shift to the politicians rather than the people. What do you think?
Let me quickly say that I've thoroughly enjoyed the panel that you presented and the contributions of everybody. And to address the issue that you are raising about the campaign and the instrumentality of office for personal gain rather than for the benefit of the larger population. There's a theory that says the only way that societies advance is where there's a meeting between somebody's ambition and the ability to do what is right for the larger society.
Thank you so much, Ahmed Mamadou. I'm afraid that's the much we can take from the Benin Network Center. Big thanks for coming, Ahmed. Big thanks, Emmanuel Obakola. Big thanks, Neville Obakedo. We now join Dominic Yemes, I believe, from the Abuja Network Center, where he'll be taking off from where we left off. To stay.
ITV, certainly the best.
The man went out to bring in thugs to come and beat her.
Yeah.
In a situation like that, do you think women would have seen that and still want to speak?
Really, we're talking about. That's what I said. So
that's-
when they bullied her,
Yeah.
if she's not bold enough, she will shut up.
What is your advice for girls out there that are so desperate to be married?
We women, we have to be really intentional about our parenting.
If you know a child is being abused, or you see signs, a bruise or a child, it has to be investigated.
People barely even breathe when they are going for a shrebi and something.
Party.
You have to be
They can't
smart.
sit
If
down.
you see where they are dressing them or are dragging or
Philip right there. I'm standing in right there for Dominic and talking about that talking about what is happening in the sector. And this morning we'll be taking a look at the corruption in the oil and gas sector that is generating a whole lot of reaction, with so many people reacting to the recent impasse between the billionaire talking about Aliko Dangote and also the boss of one of the biggest organizations in Nigeria, talking about NMDPRA, of the issue about importation of fuel. And this is also generating a whole lot of reaction with accusation after accusation. But this morning, I also have with me in the studio Barrister Sonny Ayawu in us live in the studio. As we take a look at it, it's a pleasure to have you, sir.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, Nigerians.
Okay, and hopefully we also have one another political consultant that will also be joining us this morning to also take a look at this in the course of the program, to also see how these issues can be tackled and what to do next. Talking about Dr. Yes, is an economic and development expert. He will also be joining us online. But let me start with Barrister Sonny Ayawu. Eating up the polity, and a lot of questions have been. A serious allegation, the issue between Dangote and also the NMDPR has gone personal, and a lot of people are saying it should not be related into this over the issue concerning importation or no importation. But looking at it holistic perspective, when you put into consideration the level of corruption that a lot of people have been talking about, that is one of the major problems facing on this country is corruption. Do you see a situation, civil servant can't be able to afford paying about $5 million for secondary schooling of his or her children abroad?
Well, thank you very much. And the issue of corruption in Nigeria, it is as old as the country itself, particularly the issue of oil sector. The oil sector, ever since Dangote completed his refinery to help this country, because without his refinery, I don't know where we would have been. And at the end of the day, Dangote has never slept well, in the sense that the corruption from NNPC is eating gradually. Dangote, they want Dangote to dance to their tune, which Dangote said, no, I will not. Now, they started making the rounds is that a civil servant, I don't know how much is his salary, and he's able to pay $5 million in overseas. Today, this man, I'm sure this man is in his office as a or in his bedroom. That man ought to have been somewhere in Kuje or Kirikiri. But EFCC will not see that. I'm sure the man is shouting on your mandate. The moment he shouts mandate, nothing will happen to him. If I know the man, I'll just call him and say, look, you know how to get out of this? Shout on your mandate wherever you are. That is the way you will get out of it. Okowa, former governor of the Delta State, shouted on your mandate. Trillions went underground. And today is he the South-South coordinator of Asia or whatever. That is the end. Okowa was, I'm saying shouted on your mandate. I have no problem. You did not say you made a mistake. They had to apologize to him. Now, civil servant. What are you saying that those in the ministry or other parastatals should be corrupt? If you can't send your child to Switzerland, you can do that in a private university, most expensive private university here. They should be corrupt. What will happen to them? I don't know why EFCC has not gone, in fact, have not squeezed that man's neck. Using $5 million. How did he get $5 million? That to say is reserve. It's reserve. What bank account, either in Switzerland or anywhere, is more than that. Do you know $5 million can develop a state? Yeah. It can develop a state. But this is somebody has that. There's somebody, one person has that. Person.
Hi. And that brings me to another. It's also worrisome. This morning when I read the papers on a particular story about over years coming out to castigate Dangote and to leave the man alone, condemning Dangote for speaking out. Dangote may have his own personal agenda, but it doesn't take us away from the crux of the issue, corruption. Then the CSO, about 50 CSO, coming out to condemn Dangote. What do you make?
Those are the corrupt. Those are the people, they better on the same feather, the same way. In fact, those CSO, if I'm of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, those CSO should be rounded up and investigated. If they investigate those people, they will know that they are even worse than the man we're talking about. And then could say evidence. If you make him, I will bring it out. And the president and commander in chief, I will bring their quote unquote. And in fact, they give him an award. Even though there are hundreds or millions, but he has been able to expose one person who is so corrupt that just one person, no, there are others. And that's why his colleagues, the CSO, want to share him. That's what they are doing. Is he going to run this country? Definitely. This is not promise. He promised Nigerians a lot of things. He promised Nigerians that will be okay. It's not okay. He promised that the political stability is everywhere. How are we going to continue this?
That you talked about it everywhere, and I look at it for corruption. Raise also on video of a Saturday budget going to the market who ailing you. People who cared of it were more. They became in some way the northern part of Nigeria and it went to them, and it was the people watching it. And we ask ourselves, we are trying to really protect this country. We are talking about protection of the country and also people that are supposed to be the first part of protection, the community, are also contributing to this. And it brings us to what is happening right now. Part of the major challenge we are facing when it comes to insecurity is never get to it. We are in their full mind. Can they kill? But before, I think we also have Dr. Ali Elias also joining us via Zoom this morning to also be part of the discussion on the in the audio. If you have a way to you.
It's a clear evidence that the USA, if you look at the United States of America, Dangote is exporting aviation fuel to United States of America. And the United States of America had about 130 refineries. Saudi also have over 60 refineries. Dangote is also exporting to Saudi Arabia. So what is now there for Nigeria to say, Dangote, yes, you can operate, in as much as we don't have the capacity to actually feed Nigeria as expected now, let us have importation as well. I think this is the argument. Dangote wanted himself to be the sole business person in this sector, and the regulatory body is saying no, let us have an importation so that we can balance it. So how does it really affect us as Nigeria? I'm an economist. The first thing we think about is competition. If there is no competition, we'll be subject to one person, and will be there will not be a price difference that will bring down the price down. Now, Dangote can only use, according to reports, 18 million barrel per day. While what Nigeria needs is about 50 million barrel per day. So I don't think it's anything bad for Dangote to subject himself to the regulatory authority.
Dangote needs to subject himself to the regulatory authority. I'm right here coming from Dr. Ali Elias.
He's not even saying that. Can you hear me, please?
Okay, we have a Dr. Ali back.
Dangote is even right. At this point, Dangote is even going personal and say that man has 5 million, he's paying $5 million. For me, I think he's just trying to attract negative energy to that organization. If there is anything like that, subject it to EFCC and don't put people under the bus unless they are trying. If you say this person is paying a particular amount, we must check it if it's actually sourcing it from a particular government coffers. People get money from different sources. So I'm not holding forth for him. I'm not trying to defend him. But the fact remains that let us look at the issue of competition. Dangote should allow competition because we have an example of cement. We have an example of sugar. Let him subject himself to competition. We need importation right now. As an economist, I believe in competition. I don't like monopoly, and I will never subject to oligopoly. Let him subject himself to the rules and stop pushing people to allow only him to be the operator.
Just before I come back to the studio, Dr. Aliu, I must also ask you this. Do you think the angle which Dangote has taken by going personal is very wrong? It doesn't show that it wants the best for this country. What do you think about the angle that has been taken by Dangote?
Right. Thank you so much. I don't have issue with the way he's going, but that's the way of a core businessman. A core businessman at the point will fight dirty so as to retain and sustain his business. So what Dangote is doing is to actually attack people so that his business can actually survive, which is a game of a business person. I also run business. But the fact remains that we must look at the generality and the benefit of Nigeria at this point in time. If he knew that this person is corrupt, this person is having refinery, or this person, he should subject it to EFCC. And EFCC will try this person, not that you will come on and start subjecting these people, to trial on media.
Thank you so much. Just listening to Dr. Aliu there talking about the allow EFCC to handle the issue, not subjecting him to media trial the way Amana Dangote are gone about it. Let's talk about, we were talking about the motive behind all of this. We talked about the monopoly of the oil and gas sector. There has to be competition. There has to be room for other people to come in. Dangote is also trying to really protect his own interests. Do you think, what do you make of all of these? Well, how does Nigeria benefit from all of this?
Well, I think with all due respect, I will disagree with the doctor.
Yeah.
Yes, in as much as monopoly is not good for this the present Nigerian economy.
Yeah.
But the question, the allegation that Dangote raised is actually, that man, did he actually pay 5 million for his son or daughter? Did he actually did
he has evidence to back that up?
Fine. We should make him to bring that evidence. Other EFCC should go to say, please sir, give us this evidence. Or EFCC should go to that school and get that evidence. Whether it's monopoly or not, if an NPC is not corrupt, NPC is the regulatory body. They will set a standard for anybody, not only Dangote, anybody coming to the oil sector. It should be the standard should be there. The minister, he should take the bull by the horn. I mean, sanitize NPC.
That is a because there is this bad impression people have about NPC. That is a house of corruption.
That's a big house of corruption.
And with this coming up right now, it doesn't speak well. How can they now be able to keep his future? What will you advise President to do at this point in time? Because we were talking about everybody to order on what best to do. Would that be the only solution for this?
The president would do, being the chief and also the minister for petroleum. Yeah. What he would do, the president should assemble technocrats. I mean, trusted Nigerians. Look, NNPC,
They've turned it to a limited liability company.
Disband them, leave us in and bring them afresh. Develop that place afresh. Disband NNPC. NNPC has killed this country. The moment you become the head of that place, you are a multi-billionaire. You want to get your own and go away. Even if they remove you under 1 hour, you've gotten your own. They disband NNPC. That place needs a surgical operation. Surgical operation. Not matter of whether he's doing this or he's doing that. Is there truth in what Dangote raised? This is one person. Oh, there are many. There are many. Not only this man.
Yeah.
Yes, there are many. What are we going to sweep it under the carpet? I know the next thing the man will start shouting is on your mandate. And that is the end of the matter, on your mandate.
Really interesting right there. I know I see Ali Elias right there on the line, still with us this morning. But I definitely want to ask him his own take on how president can be able to resolve this issue. Because this is becoming a recurring issue. This is not the first.
Nigeria will only benefit from competition. That somebody is corrupt, it's a different kettle of fish. You know, we can also trace a lot of things to Dangote benefit. You remember Dangote is on a free trade zone level, whereby anything that doesn't pay anything on it. So you also have what we call a benefit to Nigeria, whereby no other person actually have it. And you're actually producing as expected, but do not try to stop other competition from actually working. The only tools, the only instrument Dangote should use is price difference, quality difference, delivery difference. Not going by personal and say government must do A, B, and C to its favor. To actually, if US can allow you as Dangote to import into their country with about 139, I mean 135 there, and you have the global market to sell your market. So allow competition so that Nigeria can actually benefit. We have seen different things. There's a particular check the true oil and sell oil from MRS, which is partner to Dangote, and petroleum from which is Dangote partner. On which game there are being simply attracts Nigerians. So
perspective. And just before we wrap up from their network zone right there, your final word, what president should do the image of the NNPC to clean the image of the oil sector, and this recurring issue, the impact and the power this is not the first time. And going forward, how do we ensure that masses benefit from this impasse? Because now they fight from the onset, the issue has to do with importation of fuel. Dangote wants to. Now it's gone personal. But how does it take advantage of the benefit ourselves?
Like I said, when the two elephants fight, the grass will suffer. And who are the masses? At the presidency need to come this problem and chart the way forward. What are we going? Which is the best way for Nigerians?
Because that should be the
best way. The whole mark of every where the last beneficiary. So chart a way for the country. At the end of the day, we now know if Dangote continue importation will continue or not. The best president, like I said, should technocrats who are in that sector and say, look, which is the best way that will benefit a common Nigerian moving on the street? Which is the best way? When we all are getting that TPC to theater and do that operation. The president is the doctor, is the coordinating UPC. And the corruption raised by Duncan, whether it's benefit or not, should be where.
And it shouldn't be only the chief of the
others. I said there are many thousands there. And others. If at the end they find out that it is not true, they tell Nigeria they arrive at that true. But if it is true, that man should be removed and be prosecuted. Whether it's joined APC or not, he should be prosecuted.
Thank you so much right there, Dr. Sonia, right there for joining and giving some perspective on this corruption in the oil and gas sector. And also a big thank you to Dr. Aliyu Elias also for the Zoom to give perspective to. And that's the size of the party Abuja Network Studio. We'll link up as the conversation continues.
ITV, certainly the best.
The man went out to bring in thugs to come and beat her.
Yeah.
In a situation like that, do you think women would have seen that and still want to speak?
Really, we're talking
That's
about...
what I said. So
that's...
when they bullied her,
Yeah.
if she's not bold enough, she will shut up.
What is your advice for girls?
Thanks for staying with us. If you just joined, this is the continuation of your ultimate news and current affairs program, reaching you live from our Lagos network on the ITV network. I am Joshua Okata. On the program this morning, our focus will be said on poverty's growth with respect to children who've got to trade education with survival. The trend comes against the backdrop of a recent report released by the United Nations for Children's Fund, estimating that about 0.3 million children in Nigeria are out of school. Children these days are different state seen roaming the street during summers in search of empty plastic bottles to sell for survival. Quite heartbreaking. These steady economic hardship and inflationary situation, pundits say, not only making the rich comfortable, but slowly grinding the poor to the dust. Who is to blame for this issue? The government or the parents who have allowed these children to roam the street? What impact would on the educational sector across the Federation? And of course, what is and dignity of these children as they roam the streets? What measures could be put to bring this menace to control? These issues will be analyzed this morning by our guest in the person, Chukwu Ezukama, who is a public affairs analyst. Good morning, Mr. Thomas, for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you so very much for having me.
You're welcome. Now, before we delve into the matter, let me get your bite on this issue. Just recently, Africa's richest billionaire, Aliko Dangote, recently allegated CEO of Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, alleging that Farouk Ahmed spent about $5 million on Swiss.
Thank you very much for joining us on the program, Healthy Living. What is the kidney?
The kidney is an excretory organ in the body, which is for metabolism.
Tuberculosis affects many organs in the body, but the common ones it usually affects is the lungs.
Epilepsy is a neurological problem.
Okay.
It is an injury in the brain, which causes someone to begin to convulse, to go into fits.
It is curable, but the cure is a long-term thing.
If you eat well and avoid those risk factors that will make your immunity to be down, then the risk of contracting tuberculosis will be reduced.
If you're healthy, then you're wealthy.
So while that remains within the realm of allegation by Dangote against Ahmed, what's your take as regards the recent report reports by the United Nations estimating 18.3 million children who are out of school in Nigeria. Given what you said earlier, where you have police holders finding it difficult to subordinate their personal interest to public good.
Yeah, to the public good. Well, UN. We should be ashamed that it's the UN that tells us, United World Agency, tells us about the country, you know, because we have no statistics, no data, and we do not care. The average Nigerian wants to live a good life. Well, it wasn't that bad in the past during the First Republic, because the British had set very high standards, and the Nigerian leadership, the Tafawa Balelas, Opara, tried to uphold that standard set by the British. Things worked out then. There was accountability by third world standards. There's merit in the system. But it was when the military came, the military taught you have to understand a soldier. A soldier is trained to kill or be killed. So subliminally, soldier as though he is dying tomorrow. And for a man that has no much regards for the future, because anything can happen today, that such a man will be hedonistic, such a man will be extravagant, such a man will be reckless. So it's the soldiers that bring hedonism, business, extras, attitude, where we run. And it's all about it. So what leader shapes the society, it becomes the order of the day. So children out of school know the problem, but the sun is around the corner, but we just don't want to solve the problem. The thing is that, I mean, this world, the major problem in this world is not scarcity. There's enough food to feed everybody in the world, and enough money in Nigeria, even with free education in Nigeria. The problem has been maldistribution of resources. In Nigeria, the maldistribution of resources becomes even very profound, because an elite group would commandeer the nation, use it as they like, and are in poverty. Sometimes directly keeping the masses in. You see, dictators and autocrats keep the masses poor, because to speak out you have to have knowledge. Yeah. So there were a number of factors involved. Willingness to, like I said earlier, suppress personal interest to public good, deliberate attempt to keep the masses poor. Because if the masses are election times comes around and you bring a bag of rice, they will be scrambling for it and be ready to vote for you. But if everybody is well fed, nobody cares about your bag of rice. It will not sway their political choices, you know. It's a number of factors.
All right. Before we go into those number of factors, you talked earlier about the fact that it shouldn't come as a shock or surprise to us that the United Nations has proper data as the out-of-school children. I think, honestly, that we don't have those data. I mean, we have, you know, a one-time presidential aspirant who said that statistics will go chop.
Statistics is what?
Will go chop. So,
I don't blame
putting that aside with what you said, do you think we don't have data, or it's more of a deliberate attempt to play down on the importance of?
No, well, like you're saying, good statistics are like bikini. What they reveal is important. They hide is essential. A woman is dressed up in a bikini. The bikini reveals so much, very important, but also hides much. Essential. Statistics are not they are not sacrosanct, but on the other hand, important information.
That's true.
The UN statistics on Nigeria, of course, are accurate. with bits of human weakness. Yeah. So a man that is saying that statistics was just trying to dismiss the facts, trying to dismiss rape. So we don't have some of this. It's just the mindset, because, for example, see with telephone, we have what is it called? Census. What do you call no voting card?
Yeah.
That stores a lot of information. Then the MTN and all of them register their members, register custom, and the banks do their VT, whatever. So there's a lot of data in the system. But is it being used? What on in your social security number in the system? It tells the whole story about you. Just a number. It tells if a police in a certain state is looking for you. If you have been to, if you're wanted anywhere, everything about you. But in Nigeria, we don't have that. It's just the mindset. People understand. We're concerned about making our money ourselves and tearing down the system, even if possible.
Now, let's talk about the real issue here. Children are seen roaming the street, especially at bus garages, in search of empty plastic bottles to sell. One bottle goes for 200. So you can imagine how many a child...
It says 1 kilo or one bottle.
One bottle is weighed per kilo. It goes 200 naira. That's the least. So you can imagine how many a child has to pick to be able to fetch himself something to eat and also buy some other things for school materials. Now, Osun State is one of those states on the ranks of children who are out of school. What pick to you often know in the person of Nuruddin Adeleke, who is always seen dancing old?
That dancing around does not connote or does not denote seriousness. Dance your way into the governor's house, governor's office, and dance your way out of the governor's office and achieve much. There's some of that too much dance. It doesn't portray governor in the right light, you know. But that's is by the way. Interestingly, this is a phenomenon yesterday because Aregbesola did a lot of work trying
social programs.
Yeah, social programs.
Yeah.
Which made a lot of
impact.
Go to school.
Yeah.
So it just shows inefficiency, shows deficiency in the quality of work of the governor. That's why a lot of children of school.
Yeah.
Which means it can be remedied if it can be.
Yeah.
Aregbesola tried to remedy.
Yeah.
So it's just lack of interest, deliberate, or maybe it may have been inadvertent, have been deliberate. But
a report, it is that Success government that came after Ralph Aregbesola moved that particular program from
by
so
choice.
What would you say about that?
It's by choice of the leader.
Is it an issue of interest where interest of the governor, the incumbent governor, is what makes them somehow neglect or direct move?
Of course, it's about leadership. It's about choices, leaders. Why they don't read minds. The thing is that it's choice. A governor can choose to use the number of children in school. It will require a deliberate actions.
Yeah.
The governor can also choose not to care or to reduce the number of children in schools. Also requires deliberate action.
That's
leadership. It's all about leadership. Why the governor did it, I don't know. But the people of the state should rise up. Nigeria is not a democracy. And as far as I'm concerned, Nigeria is not ripe for democracy. I'm not advocating military rule, but kind of semi-authoritarian system. All this, but people ordinarily should speak up. You have representatives in the state assembly, and you see nests all over, and the parents and the parents, you obvious power public, and nobody's saying a word. It's the system. It's a messed up system.
So in this case, it's not the parents are to blame the government?
The parents are partly to be blamed, but the parents, the leadership determines everything. Like I keep saying that, just like they behave like their parents without knowing it, they behave like their leaders without knowing it. The government shape the society. You are influencing society. During the days of Zeke, Awolowo was emphasized. So if a man is knowledgeable, people paid attention to him and respected. But these days, it's how much are you bringing? But then, so to many of the parents and many of the children, some very educated individuals do not have money. And for a system that is wealth conscious, for a system that worships me, after all, 12 years in the university, driving a battered car and wearing torn clothes. The other man didn't go to school, he dropped out. But see the mansion he has built. He could be a Yahoo man, be a semi-criminal, a criminal. People are, but so for that reason, parents are not as enthused about their children going to school. They are looking at result. How do you strike it financially? You know, it's partially the fault of the parents, partially the fault of the leadership, and of course the fault of the society.
Now, what impact would this have on the education system in Osun State?
The education means what it is. It's a society because we open. The principals will go to work, make their money, get paid at the end, and those that in school will still learn. But those that drop out, they pose a serious problem for the society.
A ticking time bomb, you would say?
Yes, it will definitely explode sooner or later, you know, because you can't pick bottles indefinitely. The kids picking bottles. When you, after that, next, you will invariably be a thief, be a kidnapper, be a murderer, it's a ticking time bomb, not just for the state, but for the whole. Because those kids can move from Osun to Ondo, from Ondo to Lagos, just a lot to Abuja, and they ignore on skill, and they have it. They have to enjoy themselves in the Nigerian balance. And how do they afford that? How do they fund that? Crime. So it's very dangerous for any society.
Now, there are questions around
ignorance already, you know.
All right, now talk to us about measures that could be put in place to keep these children protected, especially from access to hard drugs. Because, of course, right about now, in some streets, you have drug traffickers. At the very, strategic point, you see them selling these things without even being afraid of what law enforcement agencies could do. So what do you think government can do to be able to help protect these kids on the streets from accessing drugs?
The law enforcement institutions in Nigeria are very weak, and secondly, they are very corrupt. So it makes it very hard, or even they are not effective at all, the law enforcement institutions. And if somebody can bottle, it's a very tedious job to go from one dozen to the other picking bottle.
Yeah.
At 1,000 a day. If the person shifts into selling drugs, it will make much, much more.
Really?
There's money in drugs. That's why it's a big business. That's why even the law enforcement agencies are corrupted. Of course, you're surprised? You just dropped from the moon. But the tediousness of picking bottles, you can pick bottles all day and pick 200, okay? But one drug sale can give you much more money. So the chances of those kids on the street getting into drug dealing, the chances are very high. But the system has been degenerated. The problem with the Nigerian society is that things are consistently just getting worse.
So is enough being done,
enough is
addressing
not being done,
this issue?
Enough is not being done in any aspect of governance in Nigeria. In anything, system is warped, it's upside, and must be done. Even considerate we go to know that if such trends are not checked, it might happen in Nigeria very soon. People are unhappy. People are disenchanted, and the system is not by lying to the masses, it's not by twisting facts, it's not by equivocation. The thing is that you must get, things must change around. I'm surprised that Nigerians have taken this much nonsense from a series of administrations without saying enough is enough, without standing up and saying we're tired of this nonsense.
So by what means would they say enough is enough? Is it by hitting the streets or by revolting?
Can you revolt without hitting the street? They are the same thing. But
it depends on how you go about it. Peaceful protest.
We are tired of that peaceful protest. During colonial rule, Nigerians protested.
Okay.
Sometimes violently. Under military, Nigerians protested.
So are you advocating violence if peaceful protests did not yield results?
People must protest.
All right.
But the obsession to make it peaceful is, I agree. Okay? And making it peaceful has reduced protests to propaganda masterpiece for the government, because they tell you where to gather. They give you the route to follow. Protest is science. We are sick tired. Therefore, you're defying the powers that be. But when is the powers that be that is telling you what to do, channeling your activities, directing your movement? It loses the essence of protest. But it's because they have confused the people with their brainwashing that it must be peaceful. Why must it be peaceful? The Aba riot wasn't peaceful. Many protest against colonialism was not peaceful, against military rule was not peaceful. Then in a democracy where you have the right and enshrined in the constitution to protest, you are then told that it must be peaceful. Why must it remain peaceful with the nonsense that is happening in this country? Elections are rigged, money is stolen, everything is upside down. So let it natural, comes out peaceful.
On this platform or not a natural route, wanted so that there won't be down of law and order. I just wanted to put that there.
We cannot always agree. So your view is your view, mine is...
We can't be on this platform endorsing violence.
No, there's already been a breakdown of law and order. People's kids get raped and they can't report to the police. If you report, the police will say, give us money, do this. When the law cannot protect you, has there not been a breakdown of law around
All right, that's a very beautiful place to draw the curtain. Thank you so much, Mr. Tochukwu Ezukama, public affairs analyst, for sharing your perspective on the matter with us this morning.
You're welcome.
All right, that's our offering from our Lagos Network Center. Many thanks for watching. Of course, it's about time we'll move you over to our Benin Network studio for the rest of the program.
Good morning. Big thanks for joining us on the news round at this time. I am Philip Omogyupo. The Social Development Association has reaffirmed decision to drive on common progress and unity to move the entire community forward. The body gave the bold assurance at its 2025 end of year and get-together party in Benin City, which brought together indigents of Ososo Kingdom from far and wide. Joy Obaisiagbo reports.
Located in Akoko Edo local government area of Edo State, Ososo Kingdom was well represented at the 2025 end-of-year and get-together party, which was filled with music, dance, and laughter. The party featured a range of exciting performances, including drama and song presentations that kept the audience entertained. The event was marked by vibrant displays of culture as they ate and drank in love, creating a sense of community and belonging.
I'm very, very happy. We started the year very low, and we are ending it with a fun fair. So I thank God for that. And I pray by next year it will be more than this.
All of us are very happy with the way things are going on in the community. So we said we should come together and celebrate here before going home for another celebration.
It's a great day, and we are happy that God kept us from January to today, and we are grateful to God.
The Osasa Development Association's efforts to promote unity and togetherness amongst its members were evident throughout the event. From Benin, Joy Obaisiabo, ITV News.
With growing calls for accessible and affordable healthcare, the Edo State Health Insurance Commission has embarked on a sensitization campaign to commemorate the 2025 Universal Health Coverage Day with a visit to Ikpoba local government area, as well as the 3 senatorial districts of Edo State, aimed at ensuring no resident is left behind. Ofuri Anito brings details.
The sensitization exercise began with a health awareness roadwalk along Upper Sokmomba Road and later moved to Oka Market in Ikpoba local government area, where traders and residents were educated on the benefit of the Edo Health Insurance Scheme, especially the State Equity Health Plan for vulnerable groups. Led by the Commission's Director General, Dr. Augusta Ikpia Inaholo, the team also carried out medical outreach, providing free health checks and on-the-spot enrollment into the scheme. Dr. Ikpia Inaholo said the Commission's mandate is to achieve universal health coverage for all Edo residents and appealed to philanthropists to support vulnerable groups in accessing quality health care.
As you can see, we're in the marketplace to let them know that our governor wants them to come around, enroll, so that they can be enrolled into the state health equity plan, and also for the ones that can afford, quality health care, we can also get them into our paid plan.
The exercise carried out across the 3 senatorial districts of Edo State with support from ESMA, Edo SEMA, the Ministry of Women Affairs, and the Ministry of Health, also saw residents in Edo Central sensitized on the gains of the scheme.
Not to follow up for my body. This heads when we can't change, so everything was successful. We really appreciate them. He brought hospital to us right in the market, and everything they did for us is free.
We are happy that the state government or the local government has been able to build a health center in our place. It's a very big relief.
Universal health coverage work towards achieving affordable healthcare services for all residents, regardless of their financial status.
We are here to offer you protection. Earth is wet, like they say.
I want to especially thank the Edo State government for giving us the opportunity to be able to give back to the community.
From Benin, Ofuri and Neto, ITV News.
Christians have been reminded that Thanksgiving engenders hope, prepares the giver for the next level in life, and provokes God to release his abundant blessings in the incoming year. The National Annual Thanksgiving of Eagles Ministry International, held at the church headquarters Gloryland Chapel, Upper Sokmomba Road, provided an opportunity for the General Superintendent, Reverend Edith Omodame, alongside members to offer heartfelt gratitude to God. Kingsley Uchegbu takes us there.
The General Superintendent of Eagles Ministry International, Reverend Edith Omodame, led pastors and other church leaders in offering thanksgiving to God, celebrating his faithfulness throughout the year. The service, themed Thanksgiving of Abundance, afforded chairmen of the annual Thanksgiving, fathers of the day, special guests, the Men and Women Fellowship, youths, children, invitees, and other members the opportunity to appreciate God for his mercies all through the year. The Ego Path Choir rendered soul-lifting songs of thanksgiving, appreciating God for his numerous blessings. The National Superintendent of the Church, Pastor Edwin Waka, urged the congregation to give thanks to God at all times, irrespective of circumstances, noting that thanksgiving engenders hope.
You are not permitted to be caught lamenting, weeping, and regretting, and murmuring. No! At all times, and for everything, give thanks.
The General Superintendent, Reverend Edith Omodame, Chairman of the 2025 Thanksgiving Service, and church members also shared their thoughts.
He kept us from
from the beginning of January to date. And he has declared abundance for us. We need to trust God.
We are thanking him for him to perfect all he has begun in our lives and for him to do more.
That we are alive is enough to thank God. So we are thanking God for preservation, for the gift of health and salvation.
Right from January to date, our life has metamorphosed. In fact, with the advent of His Excellency Governor Monday Okpebholo being our governor, also is enough for us to thank God.
The Thanksgiving service climaxed with the arrival of Santa Claus and the distribution of Christmas gifts to worshippers. Kingsley Uchebu, ITV News.
A U.S.-based businessman, Prince Paul Agmolaho, has returned home to Edo State with plans to invest, create jobs, and support government development initiatives. He was received at the Benin airport with a colorful cultural display and a warm traditional welcome. The report, filed by Ibrahim Adedeji, is presented by Jolade Ojo.
Cultural dancers welcomed Prince Paul Agbolao in a grand style at the Benin airport, showcasing the rich cultural heritage of Edo people. The vibrant performance reflects deep cultural roots and symbolize pride, honor, and celebration. It was a homecoming for the business mogul. Speaking during the reception, the US-based entrepreneur, engineer Prince Paul Agbolao said his return to Edo State was motivated by a strong desire to contribute to government development and create jobs.
Coming home is to contribute my quota to the government. We have a series of projects that we are bringing back home. As a matter of fact, as we speak, we just opened up Lahore Printing and Publishing Press here in Benin. It's already functional, but in the next couple of days, we'll be officially opening it.
Prince Paul also encouraged Nigerians in the diaspora to return home and support economic growth, stressing the need to preserve cultural heritage while creating opportunities for local communities to thrive.
We are looking forward to bringing more businesses. I also encourage our diaspora brothers and sisters to come back home and do more.
With a colorful cultural reception and clear plans for business expansion, the welcome ceremony highlights the growing role of diaspora investment in driving local development while preserving cultural heritage. From Benin, Wellington, Akodeja, ITV News.
And that does it on the news round. Next is TMI Socials with Chukwufunaya Adegwe. Happy viewing.
Good morning and welcome. This is TMI Socials. I am Chukufumnanya Digwe, and here's what's making waves across the social media space. Now, where we begin is that President Bola Tinubu unveils Buhari's biography at State House. Now, the president on December 15, 2025, unveiled the official biography of late former President Muhammadu Buhari at the State House Banquet Hall, Abuja, in a ceremony attended by dignitaries, including Buhari's widow Aisha Buhari, First Lady Oluremi Tinubu, and Gambian President Adama Barrow. Speaking at the event, Tinubu pledged to uphold Buhari's legacies of humility, investments in security and infrastructure, and commitment to social justice. Buhari, who died on July 13, 2025, at the age of 82, was remembered for his military roots and years of public service. The 600-page book, authored by Dr. Charles Omole, was presented as an objective, research-based account of Buhari's life, leadership, and personal journey, with Tinubu urging Nigerians to draw lessons of unity and service from the former leader's example. Now, this one has been circulating on the social media space ever since yesterday. Let's get to see a snippet of the president at the book unveiling at the State House in Abuja, and then we'll see what the social media space is saying.
The prayers of Nigeria are with you, and that Buhari's name will continue to inspire those for generations yet more. The measure of a leader is simply not the office he held, but the motorcade that accompanied him. The was in what passes when rain falls silent. President Muhammadu Buhari left behind a reputation of integrity. His pattern line, lifestyle, and the belief that public office is a trust and not a rainfall. He was my friend, a compatriot, my partner, and I stand here to acknowledge as president, but as a brother, friend, and political partner who shared the journey with President Buhari throughout challenging time. Together we built a broad plan.
So that's a snippet of the president's speech at the book unveiling. Let's get to see now how the social media space is taking this unveiling of the book of the life and times of the former president Muhammadu Buhari. This comment says, a fitting tribute to Buhari's legacy, bringing together leaders and citizens to celebrate a life of service and integrity. Now let's get to see another comment. This commenter said, today I joined His Excellency, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, and former First Lady Aisha Buhari at the unveiling and presentation of the book From Soldier to Statesman, The Legacy of Muhammadu Buhari at the Presidential Villa. That's from Father Hyacinth Lormem Aliyah. Of course, that is one government official, you know, kind of like, should I say, marking his attendance that he had attended this event at the State House. Now, let's get to see another comment. This commenter says, with due respect to President Muhammadu Buhari, history must remain honest. Respect does not counsel accountability. Millions remember hunger, prolonged ASU strikes, insecurity, and shrinking civic space. Honoring a leader should never mean silencing the pains of citizens. True patriotism is telling the full story. Let's see another comment. The last comment says, I only hope that book will also explain how a man widely regarded as one of integrity allowed himself to be surrounded by untrustworthy ministers and officials, people like Emefiele and Malami, who collectively wrecked the country and pushed Nigeria into the difficult position we find ourselves in today. Well, those are the comments as regard the book unveiling by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu of the life and times of former President Muhammadu Buhari. Now, up next, Dangote accuses regulator CEO of $5 million Swiss school fees for his children's school fees. Now, billionaire industrialist Aliko Dangote on Sunday, December 15, 2025, alleged that petroleum regulator CEO Farouk Ahmed paid about $5 million in school fees to Swiss institutions, raising concerns over the source of funds. Speaking at the Dangote refinery in Lekki, Dangote said he would release evidence and called on the EFCC and other agencies to investigate possible corruption. The accusation comes amid ongoing disputes over fuel import licenses for 2026, which Dangote described as economic sabotage, despite local refining capacity, as civil society groups demand a full probe while regulators remain silent. Very heavy words by the CEO of the Dangote group there, Aliko Dangote. Let's get to see these comments before we do take reactions. Let's see the comments of the video comments of Dangote, and then we'll take reactions.
It is something that when you look at it, I've had actually people making complaint about a regulator who has actually put his children in secondary school. And that secondary school education, which is 6 years, 4 of them cost Nigeria $5 million. I mean, you cannot imagine somebody paying $5 million for educating 5 children. Even my own children, they didn't go to those schools. My children went to Nigerian secondary school. They didn't go outside Nigeria to attend to secondary school. I don't know about your children, Tony, but mine, yes. So, and this is a system that, some of us, because you know what, we're taxpayers. When people are complaining, we also complain, because the issue is that, yes, when I pay tax, I want to see that my money is good.
Well, you got to see the comments by the CEO of Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, as regards the CEO of the petroleum regulatory body, Farouk, and the payment of his children's school fees ranging about $5 million. Very strong allegations. Let's see how the social media space is reacting as regards it. This reaction says, Dangote is not saying I heard or sources say. He's saying, I will publish the schools, I will attach my name, and I will force them to release records. That's a level of specificity that could destroy him legally if he's lying. Let's see the next comment. This other commenter says, while I understand that $20 billion investment is not a joke and must not fail, anyone in Alhaji's shoes will do everything to protect his money. However, I think Dangote should stick to the issue and not get personal with Mr. Farouk. Let's take the final comment. This comment says, paying $5 million school fees by a public servant who is a regulator in the energy sector is sticking to issues. His income is not up to that, and what will mean is that he is compromising Nigerian economy to fund his personal lifestyle and sabotage Nigerian economy. Well, those are the comments. Let's quickly take the last story before we call it a wrap on TMI Socials today. Now, for the final story that we get to see from the social media space on the issue of Pella crashing his vehicle after a tiff with his girlfriend Jarvis. The Federal Road Safety Corps FRSC has announced plans to prosecute popular TikTok streamer Habib Hamzat, popularly known as Pella, over this alleged reckless and distracted driving. Now, the move follows a viral video showing the influencer live streaming while driving, an action the FRSC said reportedly led to a road traffic crash. Now, let's just see a brief snippet of this happen, and then we'll take the reactions. So that's the video you got to see of how he drove recklessly while live streaming. And now the Federal Road Safety Corps is saying they're going to prosecute him for these dangerous acts. Let's see how the social media space is responding to this. The first reaction says, "The only challenge I have with this is double standards. Have you seen how convoy drivers behave? This energy should be extended to them." The final comment now. This commenter says, "Tell me why a young boy would want to take his life in such a reckless manner, and people will think that behavior is normal. In my honest opinion, this guy needs rehabilitation. You will never try this nonsense abroad. A lot of people come to Nigeria to misbehave. Many of you come to Nigeria, do stupid things, and get away with it." Well, those are the comments as regards that story from the social media space. And here's where we draw the curtain on TMI Socials today. Handing over now to you, Philip. A wonderful morning.
Thank you so much, Chukwunaya. Interesting stories, I must say, on TMI Socials, and a lot that we shared on that. Basically, it talks about accountability, most especially the two stories that you just read out on the screen. And it's expedient that the Nigerian government look into all of this. Allegations may be allegations, but by the time you investigate, they become very, very thorough about it. Well, this will close up on TMI for today. My name is Philip Omo Gupo. We'll do this same time tomorrow. Bye for now.
The new Idiom expressed excitement as they danced and rejoiced before the Esama of Benin, Sir Chief Dr. Gabriel Osawori Benedion, who also joined in the dance. As visiting and paying of homage to various homes of senior elders continued, the initiates spent 7 days performing diverse kinds of rites as required by tradition. They were furnished with rules and regulations regarding their new office as Idiom.
That I grew up in this community to the point that they have now also chosen me as an elder in this community. It's a thing of great joy. All thanks to the Esama of Benin, my people, my family, everybody, all Okada community, for this great honor. I am very, very grateful.
Well, this is my brother. I'll call him my uncle because he grew up with my father. I'm so proud of him because we are doing the same rituals as the Idions of the Okada. It is our duty for us to make this place a greater place, for outsiders to come and see the goodness of God in Okada. And I'm proud of every one of us here. So shall it be to each and every one of us in Jesus' name.
Okada zima esama zima dio bona zima dio obala zima dio mara we mari o sama dio na ni mado pon mi sama ni mado gbe ken sama e ma dio wa we na esama ma gbe ken ne o sa bo obuyo bi to ne baba no get to ni maga no dia mi maga ma ni do gbe ken ne de na e ma ya fe e ma ato e ma agbo oro pa ewu dori e ma dia wo re ne o be ti agbo ya no we mi maga me we need just to know me afa
in this summer in our father's house in respect of our initiation to elders Idion level. As tradition demands, we are here today to come and also pay our homage to him, for him to also pray for us for long life and prosperity.
The climax, after 7 days, was paying of homage again to the Odion way, where he gave the initiates the full rights to function and to henceforth participate in meetings with Odion. It will go down in the history and minds of Okada community, Ovia people, Edo State, and Nigeria in general. The ambience, style, and the colorful ceremony associated with the 2025 initiation into the Odion Council of former Governor of Edo State, Chief Lucky Nosakari Igbenedion, his brothers Bright Ayamekwe Igbenedion, Honorable Charles Osenwige Igbenedion, Peter Osawari Igbenedion, Dr. Fred Osawuni Igbenedion, Barrister Mike Osayene Igbenedion, Executive Director Operations, ITV and Radio, Chief Elder Gwede Onse, Honorable Efosa Douglas Igbenedion, Ukbonwa Igbenedion, Osawe Igbenedion, Edosa Igbenedion, Dr. Daniel Omorige Igbenedion, as well as Agbong Steve Igbenedion, among other sons of Okada.